However, there were less, how can I say, other type of works. For example, video works, of course, with Narini Malani and all these generation artists, Vivian Sandra and all this, there are video works. Before there were less different kind of techniques and all this, but now, for example, Shiba Gupta is doing some new media works, and then also some of the artists are doing more something intervention to the city, project-based project, and someone like, I don't know, Rax Media Collective, who is even not really making artworks. It's more like a conceptual works, or like Sarnato Banerjee, who has invented the kind of participated to invention of a graphic novel, the category of graphic novel here in India, or like more performance-based artists like Nikki Chopra, who's doing something between performance and theater works, and then also the drawings. All these different things, I really found that about 4 or 5 years ago, that was really the time that all these different kind of things really opening up, and that was quite interesting for me. So it's really outside vision as a creator, but for me it was quite rich as meeting with all these artists.
Great. Well, seeing the beginning of artists moving outside of the structures of the art world and engaging as artists around the world are with social structures, I think that's been very important. Perhaps we can hear from your perspective.
Thank you. As I was commenting to an artist friend just the other day, Bangalore is really giving Baroda a run for its money. Yes, there was a time when Baroda was very, very important. There are enough artists. I think the number which was last quoted to me was about 400. If you threw a stone, 5 times out of 10, you would either hit an artist or somebody who's rented accommodation to an artist. That is the situation in Baroda. But in the last few years, the kind of art which has come out of Baroda is not something makes one jump with joy. The last really strong work which has come out, according to me, has been B.V. Suresh's, I don't remember the name, but it took its reference from the horrific Best Bakery communal riot incident, and it was shown in Delhi, the whole work. And it had installation, it had sculptural work, it had images on the wall as well. What I see as one of the major problems there is the government educational limit on how many students you can admit from out of town or from those who do not pass their 12th standard exams from the Gujarat board. So there is a very limited number of students they can take in from the other states. I feel I've been looking at the Baroda art scene for more than 30 years now, and its strength was its cosmopolitanism in that college. It's slowly being diluted now. However, in the postgraduate classes, you do come across some really good students. And I've been analyzing this development, and I've come to a point of view that a lot of students who get into the post-graduation programs come from Mofussil small colleges all over India, which are very strong in the techniques, extremely strong. And they come into Baroda at the postgraduate level where a certain amount of teaching in thinking about art, in the conceptualization of art, is given to them, and that really helps them to make artworks which are thought-provoking, which are interesting. And over the last 3 or 4 years, I found that artists coming from complete villages or sub-rural areas are doing extraordinary work from Baroda. They are taking their references from the visual elements they have grown up with, the rituals they have seen being performed in their homes, the environment that they have lived in with, and they are able to quite skillfully present them in a visual language which is very, very interesting, very, very challenging, and extremely thought-provoking, and it excites you. And this is something which is the warm part of the art situation there. There's an artist called Sandeep Pisarkar. I think he won the FICA Emerging Artist Prize a couple of years back. And he did a work at his post-graduation where he used a boiler, which is called a bomba, I don't know, it's called that in Marathi. A boiler, hot water boiler, which is used in homes, and he turned that into a beer cooler as a sculptural thing, and he would plug it into an electrical device, and the water, instead of turning hot, would turn cold, and you could put beer bottles inside and stuff like that. He did for working in their homes, in their spaces. And the other thing about Baroda is that there is really no market there. Most most buyers over the last few years who were industrialists or who were business people, they have converted their old, defunct factory premises or their old bungalows into studios for artists, which is a very good thing for artists. Certainly, no question about it. But in the process, they get artists to give them a work or two in lieu of rent, and so they develop their collection. So unless they're looking for a particular artist, they're not really interested in coming to shows. However, let me also assure you that all art shows in Baroda are packed. I mean, you have every artist in the city coming to see all the art shows. So there is no selling, and so it's a great thing for those who are showing. In fact, just a couple of days before I came here, showed the artist Shailata, the one who does the Shiva image. No, the Shiva image.
No, that's Shamla.
Shamla showed that work in Baroda and was highly appreciated also. So, this is the situation in which we are currently dealing with in Baroda. And if, one waits and watches and hopes for the best. Thank you.
On the line to show their work, and it was great energy. And then after the Soviet Union fell and it became just another market economy, it became just another art world. And there's no mutual support, no community left, no sense. And in a way, although the term avant-garde may be obsolete, it kind of is useful in defining a sense of community. Yes. Artists who find themselves part of an avant-garde often support one another and critique one another, but also find themselves part of something changing. And there's an energy and an excitement in that propels a lot of very important art being made, and critical thinking as well. Perhaps you'd like to speak a bit about, from your perspective, as an Englishman and Indian.
Well, I'm not so sure I'm qualified to speak as either, but I'll try. I think I have a fundamental problem with the term avant-garde. I think we all do, and particularly in this context. But I think what the term necessarily presupposes is two things. One is that it must be in reaction to something, to the forces of reaction in some shape or form, and the other is an underlying subversive element. So I think we need to historically look at some of the factors and the forces of reaction which have created an Indian avant-garde. I think people on the panel and in the audience will agree with me that the art schools which emerged in the middle of the 19th century, which are the real academies, the Government College of Art in Madras, in Calcutta, the Mayo College in Lahore, and the Junior School of Art in Bombay, essentially started off to train architectural and ethnographical draftsmen for the empire. That was their purpose.
Trade schools.
Trade schools, they were essentially trade schools. Started to train people in what were required, what were thought to be the essential skills for running the empire. And the reaction to that, if you like, is the emergence of the Bengal school in the early part of the 20th century, which harks back to Oriental aesthetics, to Mughal miniature painting, drawing ideas from China and Japan. So that becomes the avant-garde in reaction to academic painting, academic watercolors, and the entire British academic tradition, which has been carrying on for about 50 years. However, India has this unique ability to subsume the avant-garde within the mainstream at a much quicker pace than anywhere else. So within 10 years of the emergence of the Bengal school, it in fact becomes the mainstream. So someone like Amrita Shergill, who's painting in the 20s and 30s more specifically, is then seen as being avant-garde in reaction to the Bengal school. In fact, she has the famous story of turning down the prize from the Simla Art Society, saying go and give it to the Tagores because that's the sort of work you like. And then within 10 or 15 years of that, Shergill dies an unfortunate early death in 1941. You have the Calcutta group started off in 1943, the progressive groups and other groupings of artists which begin to emerge, and they then look upon Shergill or bring in Shergill into the mainstream, if you like. Very soon, in the 50s, we have the foundation of the academies, and the Academy, the Lalit Kala Academy, where we're seated today. And that becomes the source of official patronage. And from very early on, this so-called subversive avant-garde art becomes a part of the academy. For example, Communist Party printmakers from the 1950s, from the 40s and 50s, who produced some incredibly strong, visceral works in that period, are then very much, Chitraprasad, Somnath Bohr, are then very much drawn into the mainstream, become academicians, become teachers, and their ideas and their works indeed get official sanction. And a lot of them emerge in the Ram Kinkar, for example, who, if you like, is the ultimate avant-garde artist in Tagore's art school in Shantiniketan, then carries out a number of official commissions in Delhi and elsewhere.